So what I'm going to show you now is 44 facts about millionaires that'll surprise you. You have this idea of what I would call outlier millionaires. People who are not your average millionaire. What I'm going to show you, these are your average, normal millionaires. And if you want to have a nice life, you probably want to be an average millionaire and not one of the outliers. The outliers being somebody who's unusual, that is not like what's normal. So let's go straight down this list. They're in no particular order, or they're in the order I took my own notes. So number one, most millionaires live in average income neighborhoods. You might think millionaires actually live in these really expensive, fancy neighborhoods. Nope. Most millionaires are in regular neighborhoods with regular people. And most millionaires, if you look at this, 1/3 of millionaires live in neighborhoods with below average value homes. That means most millionaires are right up in there with regular people. In fact, there's a book called Millionaire Next Door, another book called Everyday Millionaires. These highlight that you almost certainly have millionaires living in your neighborhood, and you probably don't even know who they are because they don't look any different than other people. Number three, most millionaires spend less than $200 a month on restaurants and eating out. This is a very helpful statistic to me because it gives you a good threshold. If you're spending more than $200 a month eating out and eating at restaurants, you can categorize that in wasteful spending. It is much cheaper to make your own food and eat at home. And millionaires, based on millionaire spending behavior, make this clear. This isn't to say some millionaires don't spend more than that, but the majority of millionaires spend less than $200 a month on restaurants and eating out, because that is something that should be a luxury, that should be done occasionally, and it should not be every day. You're buying at $10, $20, $30, $50 of food. I worked at corrections. I was a correction officer making $20,000 a year. And my coworkers, I would blatantly call them out on how stupid they were. I'm like, you're making the same money as me. How the fuck are you going to this Ruby Tuesdays and getting this $20 meal, making $20,000 a year? I'm bringing in a sandwich because I'm making $20,000 a year. I'm like, you pissed away a significant amount of your total income today on one meal. 93% of millionaires still use coupons when shopping. That's how they got to be millionaires in the first place, because they are up there using coupons. 97% of millionaires agree with the statements, I control my own destiny. The opposite of that would be that I don't control my own destiny. Therefore, this is what, to me, being a millionaire is about, is being empowered, feeling in control of your life, not being a victim, not being helpless. That's what being a millionaire is about to me. 69% of millionaires earn less than $100,000 a year. You might have this idea that millionaires earn a whole bunch of money. Nope, millionaires earn money and then take the money that's earned and invest a significant portion of it, and then spend the smallest amount of money possible out of what was earned. You don't need to earn a lot to become a millionaire. 7, the top 3 millionaire professions are engineer, accountant, and teacher. Yes, teacher. Teachers who are, quote, notoriously underpaid, which if you actually look at how much doctors and teachers earn, teachers are more likely to become millionaires than doctors. Why? Because doctors get loaded up with debt, and doctors tend to do way more consumption spending. After all, if you're a doctor, do you want to be rolling in like me in some 16-year-old Toyota? And what are your clients going to think if you live in some average value house? Being a millionaire is about spending smart as much as it is about making money. Let's keep looking at these. 1/3 of millionaires never made more than $100,000 in 1 year. So if you're telling yourself, I can't be a millionaire, I don't earn enough, 1/3 of millionaires have never made more than 6 figures in a year. I've made $250,000 in 1 year, which is why I know I've got the income down, and all I need to do is invest wisely, which I've just came up. I've looked at what works for most millionaires with investing, and we'll see that in the stats. 68% of millionaires never took student loans. That was my first mistake financially. is taking student loans. If I had to start over, and for my kids, I'll tell them absolutely under no circumstances take student loans. It's borrowing that first dollar that gets you in the cycle of debt. It's just like, for me, alcoholism. If you don't take the first drink, you can't get drunk. If you don't take that first loan, you can't get in debt. 88% of millionaires have graduated from college. So that means the majority of millionaires go to college and don't take student loans. How? By going to the cheapest college available. One that they can live at home at, pay the tuition directly, and or get a scholarship or cheap in-state rates. 90% of millionaires have never taken a business loan. I've followed up on that one. The average millionaire hits $1 million in net worth at age 49. So it's important to realize this, being a millionaire is a long-term vision and goal. It's generally not something you want to rush towards. 13, most millionaires invest wisely and consistently over time. And that's exactly what I'm doing on my Jerry Banfield crypto channel with my dollar cost averaging. I buy 15% of my income every day, which ends up being, based on what I'm expecting in 2023, $50 a day. I'm not taking big risks. I'm investing wisely and consistently over time. 80% of millionaires come from middle-class homes, not from like super rich homes or rich parents. And we'll go right on to that. 79% of millionaires have never received an inheritance. Most millionaires, you would think, inherited their wealth. Nope, most millionaires are self-made. 80% of millionaires have never bought a car costing more than $50,000. Now think about that. You see these Teslas driving around and all these fancy cars. Most people driving them are not millionaires. Most millionaires don't buy cars that cost a lot. That's why they're millionaires. Most millionaires have never bought a watch costing more than $500. That means the same thing. You see, a lot of people you see wearing fancy watches are not millionaires. They're dumb spenders, consumption spenders. 97% of millionaires own their own home, with half living in the same home more than 20 years. You buy a home and you stay in it. It costs lots of money to move. So the goal is to buy a very affordable home and then stay in it. 91% of millionaires with their investments hold assets for at least a year, which is why with my Jerry Banfield crypto strategy I've been putting out, I have a mandatory 1-year holding period for any asset. You pay much less tax that way. 20, most own a car. Rather, missed that one up. Most millionaires own a car rather than lease and do not have the newest model. The average, now this was in 2000. So I said before the average age was 49. Now that was from the newest data. So these are coming back to my notes from the Millionaire Next Door, which was done 20 years ago. The average age 20 years ago was 57. Well, because of inflation, it's gotten much easier to be a millionaire than it was 20 years ago. So the average age is now 49. So it's easier than ever to become a millionaire. 22, most millionaires earn more than 80% of the income for their household, with lots of millionaires having a stay-at-home spouse or a spouse that just works part-time and makes a little bit of money. 20% of millionaires are retired, which means 80% are still working. Now, this goes back, this has changed a bit in the last 20 years. So these are the notes from 20 years ago now. 2/3 of millionaires 20 years ago were self-employed, and 3/4 of self-employed millionaires consider ourselves entrepreneurs. In the current environment, as we're going forward, we're going to be seeing even more self-employed millionaires. In 26, half of wives do not even work outside the home, while the top occupation of those that do work is teacher. Now, this was 20 years ago. I imagine it's more common. However, if you consider staying at home, this might be the same now. The average household taxable income for millionaires, $131,000, while the average income's $247,000. So that means that while that is including a lot of outliers who make a whole bunch of money, $10 million a year, $100 million a year, etc. So that's dragging up the average. You would think that conflicts with the stats before, but this is average. So the top 10% of millionaires are pulling this way up. 28, less than 15% of millionaires earn more than $500,000 a year, which makes sense with the stats we showed above. 29, the average millionaire net worth $3.7 million, with most at $2 million or less. Pretty logical. Average income is less than 7% of wealth. This is a very important stat right here. We often think of millionaires, we don't even have a clear definition. What is a millionaire? A millionaire is simply someone who has a net worth of $1 million, and that means assets minus liabilities, assets being cash, investments, property value, etc., minus debt, mortgage, student loans, business loans, etc. A millionaire is someone whose assets minus debts or liabilities equals more than $1 million. And that's millionaires generally have a lot of assets compared to how much actual income is earned. And that's through investing and through owning of a home. Most millionaires, as we gave more clarity above, have never received an inheritance. 80% of millionaires are first generation wealthy, meaning parents were not wealthy. 80% believe that charity begins at home by taking care of your loved ones, your family, and then to me, my friends and community. Even though I'm on the path to millionaire and my net worth is just a little bit below zero, 40,000, I consistently give $20 here, $20 there, which adds up to thousands of dollars a year to people who are homeless, because charity begins at home and in my neighborhood. Most millionaires can live without working for 10 plus years. And this is called FU money. And this is eliminating all the stress. I have a friend who just lost his job and he's all stressed out about money. This is why we want to aim at becoming a millionaire. How does not needing to work for 10 plus years sound? That sounds real good to me. I don't ever want to have to work again. This allows you to do work you love, and you can afford then to work and not earn any money doing what you love and then set up money to come in. Most millionaires enjoy 6 times as much wealth as their neighbors. Again, defying what we would think. We would think millionaires all live in these fancy neighborhoods with fancy cars and fancy houses. Nope. Most millionaires have way more wealth than the person living next door to them. And if they look the same, the millionaire is spending way below their means, while the person next door is spending right up to their means. 80% have college degrees. That's the 2000 stat, with 18% having masters, 6% PhDs, etc. So you can see most millionaires do not have an advanced degree. Just a bachelor's degree is good enough. Never take, or in 95% of cases, do not borrow money to get a master's degree like I did. Dumb move if you want to be a millionaire. 83% of millionaires have never attended private elementary or high school, while 55% of their kids do. 2/3 of millionaires work 45 to 55 hours a week. So we're talking a little, and this makes sense with the statistic of having their own businesses. When you have your own businesses, you want to work as much as you can in your own business. Like, I work as much as I have time for, which for me, I go to Alcoholics Anonymous every day. I'm a stay-at-home dad in a significant capacity. Ask my wife for more data on that. And I do yoga an hour every day. I have about 4 or 5 hours to work 7 days, 6 or 7 days a week. So I work less than this, but if I had more time to work, I would. This is the key thing if you want to become a millionaire, is investing a big percentage of your income every year. This is the main difference between regular people and millionaires. Regular people don't prioritize investing. Millionaires do, and that's the main way net worth gets built. 79% have an investment account, and 20% is in stocks and similar assets, while, here's the key, rarely selling. Every time you sell, you're potentially looking at tax liability, and which cuts out your earnings. 21% of wealth is in the business. Millionaires, here's the last 2 stats. 80% of millionaires have never borrowed money from a friend, and 43 millionaires are growing much faster than the average population. And one of the ideal occupations you can have for the future is something that provides services to wealthy people. Millionaires, that was 20 years ago. Today, if you look online, there's something like 30 or 40 the amount of millionaires are just blowing up. It's easier than ever to become a millionaire.